experiencing, all lies. These are all lies.
So I thought, I wasn't sure if I was really smelling what I was smelling and feeling the way I was feeling. And then less than 5 to 10 minutes after I started smelling it, my son woke up out of a dead sleep, violently shaking, throwing up, totally disoriented, begging for water. And he was not sick at all. Like he just wasn't. There was no indications of a sickness before this. And it was shortly, just a few minutes after I started smelling it. So at that point, I took him. We ran
Kids have nightmares. I mean, is this woman new? Kids have nightmares. They wake up often, violently shaking and projectile vomiting, sort of like an exorcist scene, because maybe they're having a nightmare about, not winning the big game at the school and getting the girl. This is what, or it's the boogeyman's chasing them through the cornfield. These are common nightmares that kids have, and a lot of them react to this with violent shaking, projectile vomiting, bleeding from the eyes. A lot of people have nightmares and they bleed from their eyes. So this woman is trying to conflate these two unrelated things. Her son, middle of the night, doing an exorcist, and the 11 cars of vinyl chloride burning up the sky and the rivers and the oceans and the lakes and the air and the dogs and the cats and the birds and the bees and everybody getting, So really, it's the conflation of two completely unrelated things. The small chemical Armageddon and her son waking up in the middle of the night like Linda Blair.
Just in case. And
let's see someone else, because I feel like this woman's a liar and I don't like liars. Let's see what else we have. This looks like a fun crew.
Ever since until like the 9th of February.
Until the 9th of February.
Yeah.
And were any of you all home when it happened as well, or?
I actually was home. I jumped out of bed. Unlike him, we didn't think we were getting evacuated. We all stood back there and watched it. I texted her, and she's like, I'm staying here, no problem. And then finally they knocked on her door and forced her out of bed.
Well, I don't know. In the area, we've had a lot of suicides with the railroad tracks. There's a lot. So that's my first thought was, who hit the train now? Like, I wasn't thinking, like, chemical warfare here. So that was my thought. She's like, dude, it's exploding. So
yeah, my initial thought, I was downtown. I was walking, and I thought it was weird. The trains stop over the intersection from time to time. I just hopped through them. When I wrapped this corner onto Clark Street, you could see the flames up in the air. And I work at that building right down there.
Yep.
So I thought my shop was on fire. So I went running up there to check on the kiln hand, check on everything. Back end of our building caught fire. So I actually, for some reason, stood out there and watched it for about 20 minutes, like probably from me to you to it.
Right.
Because like you said, we didn't know what it was.
Right. And are you all back working in there? Is the building damaged?
Yeah, oh, yeah. As soon as the evacuation lifted, they were back in work, of course.
Back to work. I like it. Back to work. This is good. That's America. You watch the explosion. You get a nice little break. It's a nice little break. But then you're back to work. You can't use this as some lazy excuse to not go to work just because you now have a permanent headache. You have to get back to work. Work helps you, and people don't realize this, that if, there's so much anti-work sentiment in America all the time now. Like, oh, children shouldn't work. It's child labor. Or elderly people shouldn't work. That's not dignified. And they're old and we should care for them. They shouldn't work. And disabled people shouldn't work. And people with stage 4 cancer shouldn't work. There's always this like a rigmarole like, oh, they shouldn't work. They shouldn't work. Let's figure it out. Oh, they shouldn't work. Oh, she has a brain tumor in 2 months.